6:01, so I will call the meeting to order. We will start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Angela will not be with us tonight. Angela Roaring, Director Roaring, so it will be the five of us. My comment is welcome, everybody. Nice to see you. And we'll move into approval of the agenda.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
I do have one for discussion for 10I1. Number 413 for the policy reading, approved that last month. That's on there, just to strike 413.
All right, it was approve the agenda. Director Hofstad has made the motion. Director Bauman, did you second? I'm sorry.
No, Lane, but you need to amend.
Yes, we also need to do that.
So I will,
Did you, let's see.
no, Lane second.
I'm sorry, Mayor, you seconded. Okay, Ryan had discussion on, we're gonna strike 413 from the agenda. It's the harassment and violence. Is there any other? Hi, Tyra.
Hi, I'll amend to add,
Wait a minute, you got a motion on the table.
We're discussing. Oh,
Yeah, you can't do anything until
you can amend that.
you could ask the two people that moved it if they're okay with the
Absolutely, and then
amendments.
what you need to, that's fine.
Yep.
Then you're okay.
All right,
okay, then I will amend to add the technology integration specialist agreement
Where?
To include. it.
after building grounds contract.
which one?
Should.
Director Hofstad, are you okay with that amendment?
Yeah,
Director Lane, are you?
Yes.
Okay, so the approval of the agenda with striking 413 under policies and adding each one the integration specialist contract. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries 5-0. Appreciation, recognition, and presentations. Oh, I'm sorry.
Barrett, board members, and Dr. Workham, good evening.
Okay,
I want to recognize Chloe Reedy. Chloe, will you stand up? Everybody see Chloe? She's in 5th grade, and this is Hammers Road. And next to her is her father, Michael. We're recognizing Chloe because she took first place in the Math Masters program in Staples, Minnesota, the regional tournament at Sourcewell. And her first place medal was in order and operations. So the event was held near the end of April. So congratulations, not me. Many of us can say we got first place in a math contest. Wear that very proudly. We're gonna get a picture of you. Go around.
I don't know.
She got the medal, but she's being very shy, so. Well, the medal off.
You can hold out her certificate.
All right, ready? Thank you, guys. I guess she's out, guys. Sorry. Yeah, no,
you're missing.
See you, Chloe.
I'll figure math homework.
Yeah.
Chairman Garrett, member of the board, Superintendent Werkamp, thank you for having me this evening. I have two groups of kids that, actually I have a bunch of kids that I can recognize tonight. The first one is, and none of them are here, Zach Ellerbush and Kaylee Rudolph were selected as the 2022 Sourcewell Students of Character Student Scholarship Program. They had a really nice evening at one of the resorts up by Brainerd, and had a good dinner and a speaker. And they recognized students who lead by example, lead by their actions, positive influences on their classmates, and they recognize students in every school that make up the Sourcewell area. So there's probably 50, 60 kids there that get recognized that night. They really kind of roll out the red carpet for them, and really was a very good program. So I'd like to congratulate Zachary Ellerbush and Kaylee Rudolph as the Students of Character Award winners. The second group of students I wanted to recognize is the salutatorians and the valedictorians. It is not very often that we have, a few years ago, we had multiple valedictorians, and they did a three-person speech. Now all three of these were like state speech meet participants. I mean, they were outstanding. Well, this year we have two salutatorians and three valedictorians in the class of 2022. It is way less common to have co-salutatorians. They have a number that's somewhere right around 4.0, but not quite there. And to have it be exactly the same is not very common. The salutatorians for the class of 2022 are Zachary Ellerbush and Callie Van Erden. And then our valedictorians, the tri-valedictorians, and they're all working on their speeches and putting something together for Friday night. They should start feeling the pressure now that we're in graduation week to get that to me. These three students all are graduating with a perfect 4.0 GPA. The valedictorians for the class of 2022 are Autumn Shanerock, Emma Casella, and Aaron Forsch. So congratulations to the salutatorian and valedictorians. The state speech participants, I'm doing Mr. Newman's, he's, I think, at the softball game tonight. The state speech participants, we had 4 participants in the state speech meet. For those of you that were able to make it to the activities banquet, we had 7 students in speech this year. After losing the speech opportunities with the COVID pandemic, speech meets were hard to do in schools. And so rebuilding up that program, we've had as many as 20 to 25 kids in speech. This year we had 7. We had 4 of them advance to the state tournament. Muna Torre was in storytelling. Nate Moga and Stella Hagen were in duo interpretation. And Brooke Wenner went in poetry. And in the state meet, Nate and Stella placed 8th, and Brooke in her poetry division placed 6th at the state tournament. So congratulations to our speech students. And our FFA, the FFA state convention is May 24th through the 26th at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities campus. We have a state champion milk quality team. They're the #1 overall team in the state. And to tell you a little bit more about a couple of the individuals that performed very well at the state FFA convention, I'll have Mr. Goldaddy come up and present.
All right, thanks for having us. So Mr. Swenson said, these are 2 out of the 3 members of the Royalton FFA milk quality team, and that is first place team in the state of Minnesota out of, I think, a lot of individuals. But on top of being the overall first place team, Olivia Pico was the first place individual overall. And then Joseph Aachen was 2 points behind her in second place. And then Callie Van Erden got 7th place. And so we had all 3 of our members in the top 10. We won by like 150 points or 200 points or something. So like we kind of crushed it, which was super cool. And so it was a lot of fun. So then we are going to nationals, the national competition, which is in Indianapolis, and that will be October 24th to 30th. I don't know. It's like 5 days long. It's a whole week for the most part. And so we get to start prepping to go to that. And that's my plan for next week is we're gonna have a meeting and practice. Some different things that they have to do at that competition at nationals is they'll also have to like work as a team and problem solve. Like they might be given like milking equipment and then be asked like, what's wrong with it, figure it out. Which they didn't have to do at state. And so at state, they identified cheese, they identified different milk products. And then they took a written exam. What was it?
No defects,
And milk defects.
real versus fake.
And real versus fake milk products. And so then there's even more added to that when we go to nationals. So we will have our hands full this summer as we prepare for that. And then I had one more certificate, and that is for Kaylee Rudolph, because she earned her state FFA degree, which is the highest award that Minnesota FFA can award to a student in FFA, and that is for her accomplishments in leadership, whether that was in our chapter at Royalton or in our region or on the state level. So she received her state degree and got her certificate and plaque and stuff. So that was also super awesome. And there's a lot of work that goes into that. Like you need like 3-4 years worth of records of like what you do in FFA. You need to have certain community service requirements met, like certain hours, and like have certain amount of FFA events attended that are on different levels, whether it's chapter or state. And so you have to have all these special hours to keep track of all that. So that was also super exciting that she got her state degree. So that is what we were able to accomplish this year, one of our biggest accomplishments. Oh, and then we need a picture of it.
Don't think you're getting away.
I used to, I think I
Yeah.
did it like 3 times now.
One less successful, you know. Great.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Perfect, thank you.
Good
job, guys.
That concludes recognition appreciation presentations. We will then move into item 7, recognition for citizens for input purposes. Quick comment, public comments are an opportunity for the board to hear feedback and input. Board members will not respond to comments or questions. We're just here to listen. Speakers' comments must not refer to, speakers' comments must not reference identifiable information about employees or students and must not use profanity, insults, or threats. Speakers will be limited to 5 minutes. So anybody open to some input purposes? Anybody want to speak? All right, we will move on then to item 8, which is news and reports. First one, board committee report.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to report on Midstate. We did hire a new director, interim director, Lisa Devereaux, is that correct? Dr. Wickham. And so yeah, we're kind of looking forward to the new year and a little new leadership in that department. It's going to be kind of exciting, I think, for children with special needs. Pretty exciting.
Great.
Policy committee met. Policy 714, the fund balance policy. We had just said in the last meeting, we're going to review that. we've decided to come up with a range instead of a, so there's gonna go for a 14 to 20% range. And remove article number 9 out of that. Number 616. It's got a lot of things in there for different committees that we don't really have, so we're gonna replace all of committees with the strategic planning committee because they have to meet anyhow. 506. We'll move for approval since 525 was referenced in this policy and we've already reviewed it. And then got a bundle of policies that we think we need to, it's been brought to us from administration that we should have them for protection of employees in school. And they're 211, 519, and 423. And we're gonna review them as the committee next month and decide if we bring them to the full board or not, or if we decide we don't need them, we just won't bring them. But we're gonna review them and decide whether we're moving forward for review or not. So that was it.
Everyone talk about
Yeah,
finance?
finance committee met, is pretty brief this month. They're gonna go over the new budget presentation for everybody to do, so.
Board, committee reports, superintendent report.
Yeah, so I want to give an update on strategic planning and where we've been and where we're going. We had our April meeting and I was really excited that we had 44 people attend. That includes staff, students, parents, community members, etc. We have about 78 on our current list. We had conflict with some other activities happening that evening, so I'm hoping that some that weren't able to attend will be able to come. Now, our next meeting is this Thursday night from 6 to 7:30 in the cafetorium. I think our process is working well. We run a World Cafe model, so to speak, and we have different teacher leaders leading the work. Along with, of course, our administrative staff participating and sitting at different tables and facilitating the conversations at the tables. And so we have a very robust agenda for this Thursday night. I don't think we'll get through all of it. It may go into our following meeting will be June 8th, so it comes up pretty quickly. But I think what we'll end up landing on, have time for Thursday night, will hopefully solidify the vision statement, the mission statement, and then either look at those belief statements and then the statements under the vision and or looking at core values, because that came out as an option. So I think we'll solidify all of that. We'd like to get to the goal setting. I don't know if we'll have time to get to the goal setting, so that will likely happen on the June 8th meeting. We will take a hiatus in July and then bring the group back again in August. Hopefully we can get to the board for approval in September again. If not, it'll be October. Make sure we have a good product. And then, and I don't know if all of you want to talk about who would attend that this week. I don't know if I'm gonna wait and do that later in the meeting or. You wanna do that now?
Sure, we can do it now. I know I attended and Angela,
Because you're the board committee
yes,
liaisons for the board, but we're wondering with this strategic planning, if maybe we wanted to change it up a little bit for each meeting, just so you could have some.
I could make either May or June, so if anybody has conflicts, I'm flexible too.
I would rather not commit to this week until I get planted, so.
If I cannot do it this week, we're starting my fishing.
Hazel, I'll plan on going this week.
Prior engagement, Ryan, have a prior engagement.
It's the high school fishing.
No,
Oh.
that's all.
So, organizational meeting.
we should have two for sure. So I don't know, Mary, if you're interested in attending.
Well, I'm gonna have it right total me, so probably not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
you'll go. Great. And then I wanted to also let everyone know we had Teacher Appreciation Week, we've had Secretary Appreciation Week, School Lunch Heroes, and school nurses tributes this past month. And so I do want to say a formal thank you to all of our staff, especially those that were honored this past month. The school doesn't run without them. And I think we all know with the Lunch Heroes, they truly are our kids, they have sold more lunches this year than I think it's been a record, over 600. So they're excited. Our kids obviously are liking what they're getting, and that's important. So thank you to all of our staff. Also, we had our play, our musical, Annie Junior take place, and that was wonderful. Those kids are amazing at what they can do. We also had a band concert, and now looking forward to a choir concert this Wednesday night. So everyone keep that in mind, 7 o'clock Wednesday night. And then we also last weekend had our art display. So some of our students were able to display pottery and paintings and drawings that they were able to produce, the seniors, through our art classes. And that was held at the cafetorium. And I went there Friday afternoon or evening, and it was remarkable work. Very, very talented. If you get an opportunity to check out their artwork, I would recommend it highly. It's just amazing the talent that we have. So we might be small, but we might be. And then welcome everyone to come to graduation. Of course, we have that Friday night at 7 o'clock, and get to cheer on our seniors as they move on to their next stage in life. That's what I have for comments.
Any questions for Dr. McCann?
For graduation, is the board going to be sitting on the stage area? And do we still have the little rooster thing? Does it mean? Okay, that's all.
Imagine, Joel, you'll talk about it in your report too. Remind us. I think we'll read this 7 o'clock. We need to be there by.
That was quarter after.
Nice
Quarter
try.
Don't already get nervous.
We may need clarification on that, yeah. Any other questions for Dr. McCann? All right, we'll move on to the business manager report.
You want me to pull that up, Michelle, or do you guys have that one?
No, can you do it, please?
Sure. Okay. So the budget update through end of April of this year. Original adopted budget, we're at 920 ADMs. Current enrolled as of May 2nd of this year is 920. Please keep in mind the revised budget is conservatively adjusted to 916 ADMs. For revenues for the month, we are 329,000 ahead of FY21 pace and revenues. We're caught up on our federal draws, a little bit behind fiscal year 21 pace. We been working diligently to get Royalton set up in the new SAM.gov registration, which is the new UEI number that's assigned to each district, replaces the DUNS number. That's been a little bit of an effort, but now we got our federal revenue deposits coming to us again. Property taxes fiscal year to date. Once again, that goes to the balance sheet. End of the year, we have it assign it directly to the revenues, but right now that's at $850,772. For expenditures, we are about 2.1 million ahead of where we were last year. As far as the Ys, we have an increase this month due to one-time retro salary adjustments. Those went through. Extracurricular activities, we're back to those pre-COVID levels. The adjusted amount year to date on that is we've spent 128, almost 129,000 more than we spent last year at this time. And leftover construction funds being used for various projects. And then just a quick update on MAP in Little Royals. The MAP program continues its trend of being between $20,000 and $30,000 to the profitable each month. There's been a slight decline in Little Royals reflective of April. And that has to do with some retro pay from the Low Royal staff. We expect that to rebound nicely and follow suit where we have been, which is about $3,000 to $5,000 to being profitable each month. That may take a month or two to sort itself out, but everything's looking good in those programs. Any questions on this month's budget update?
Looks like we're good. Thank you.
Sure.
Item D, principal report.
Good evening again. Graduations this week, 3 of them. Preschool on Wednesday, 8:30 for 3-year-olds, 10 o'clock for 4-year-olds. That's in the cafetorium. Kindergarten on Thursday in the cafetorium at 9 a.m. and 5th grade on Friday at 8:30 in the elementary gym. Busy on those 3 days. Friday, we're having an end of year celebration from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock at the elementary. We'll have outdoor games and activities for the students. And then finally, on January 14th and 15th, I will attend an early childhood conference with all our preschool teachers at Sourcewell. It'll be time for us to get together and plan for next year. Our preschool has been expanding and we have children, more children coming up for the 3-year-old program with special needs. So we're going to talk about what's the best way to organize together, work together to meet those needs. Questions?
Thank you.
Yeah. If it isn't graduation, I'm not dealing with it this week. It's a busy time of year. We have high school graduation at 7 p.m. on Friday night. We asked that board members be there, like 4:30. Just to make sure. No, you need to be here by 6:15. If you can, make sure you get your flowers and everything like that, and then we'll progress down to the south gym with the students. Graduation should be just about an hour, and if the weather is nice this year, we will have the receiving line outside. We'll make that determination right at the end of graduation. It looks like it's supposed to be nice Friday, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Maybe not snowing. Our seniors got back from their class trip today. They went to Cragun's yesterday morning. It is always nice. There's a little little nervousness that invades my mind when you send 70 high school seniors off on an overnight trip. Cragun's contacted us today, our chaperones, and said they have 2 more class trips from other schools coming this week to Cragun's, and that they hope that the students in the next 2 trips act the way that our students did. So they represented us very well. The chaperones had a really good time. No class has ever, we ordered 30 large pizzas from Pizza Hut of different kinds, and there has always been leftover pizza for the later on in the evening. Not this year. They took the challenge, the pizza challenge. It was kind of like one of those man versus food things. Well, they took the 30 pizza challenge and they won. And so they were calling and sending me messages, and the chaperones were letting me know that all the pizza had been. So we were happy about that. But it went very well. And then we had the choir concert will be Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. For those of you that are parents, you received my mistaken email on Friday with a 6 o'clock start time. The actual start time for the choir concert on Wednesday is 7 p.m. So, any questions? All right, thank you.
All right, we will move to item 9, the consent agenda. The consent agenda currently contains the regular school board minutes from our last meeting, claims, accounts, financials, approval of new hires, and approval of resignations. Again, I'll let anybody on the board know that if there's an item you want to take out, we certainly can do that.
Mr. Chairman, I move the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion has been made by Director Hackett and seconded by Director Bauman to approve the consent agenda. Is there any other discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Opposed and abstained. Motion passes 5-0. Discussion information, action items. Item 10A is our approval of donations by resolution. Do I have a member that would like to bring it forward, a director?
I'll motion.
Member Bauman introduced the following resolution and moved its adoption, whereas all information is included in your packet. Royalton American Legion has generously donated $2,000 to the Royalton School District. 4 students with scholarships will receive $500 each. Whereas the conditions on this gift is included in the packet, therefore be it resolved by the Royalton School Board to greatly accept the gift. The motion for adoption of the foregoing resolution was duly seconded by member
Lang.
Lang, and upon roll call vote being taken thereupon, the following voted in favor.
Director Bowman,
Aye.
Director Garretts,
Aye.
Director Hackett,
Aye.
Director Hofstad, aye, Director Lang.
Aye.
Following voted against. Following abstained. The foregoing resolution was approved on the 23rd day of May 2022. B, you're on item B. Back to Dave to talk about our new budget presentation. Not Dave?
That's gonna be me.
Well, thank you,
So-
Scott.
Yeah, you're welcome. So Chair Gerards, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Weirkamp, hopefully you guys all know I'm Scott Moran by now. I can't see everyone in the audience, but I'm Scott Moran, business manager for the school. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen with you so you guys can see the FY23 budget. This is for discussion for tonight to give you guys a look at that. If you guys so choose to approve it tonight, that's certainly your discretion, but we want you guys to have at least 2 looks at this before actually approving. Sure, bear with me 1 second. Too many tabs open. Okay, can you guys all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, I'll try to make this a little bigger for you guys, but just want to let you guys know, I know it's very hard to do, but please try not to pay attention to these beginning fund balances and the end of year projected balance. These are just estimates. We do not know what our fund balance is going to end up at until the audit is over. So when we go to approve the adopted budget, we are only approving the revenues and expenditures. But you know, from our beginning fund balance to the end, I know that the board and others in the public like to see that, so we do put that information out there for everyone to see. But again, we do not; these are not audited. The beginning fund balance for next year is not audited. That will be done sometime after July 1st. So again, I go through, I put in all the revenues and expenditures. One thing that does throw off the numbers just a tad is the student activities. I want to point that out as Dr. Weirkamp brought this up as well. I put $1 in every one of these student activities. These are the student activity accounts. They generate their own revenue. Therefore, whatever revenue they generate, they can expend within reason. So I just put in $1 to hold that account code open. But obviously they'll have more than $25 in expenditures with that. So then again, it will throw off the net increase decrease over on the right hand side, which no one is supposed to pay attention to anyway. But I'm looking at you, Board Chair Gerards. So please don't pay attention to that. So going through, everything's staying in line. You can see our operating capital is doing well. Our LTFM is doing well.
We do have some projects that we'll be talking about later tonight. Looking at that, scrolling down a little bit further, one thing I want to just point out too is Fund 2, which is our food service. Currently, right now, we're projecting 486,000 in revenues and 494,000 in expenditures. That looks like it appears to be upside down right now, but I want to address that with the board. Every single year we have what we have to do a PLE, a Papa Lima Echo, a sheet with MDE showing what our expenditures will be per meal price. And we have not had to do that for 2 years due to COVID. We will have to do that before FY23. So therefore, I think once that is complete with MDE, that is going to generate more than enough revenue to cover this gap for FY23. So this is projected, but this will show a new balance, including that PLE tool when we go to revise the budget in FY23. Scrolling down a little bit further, as I tell with every presentation I give for Royalton, your guys' community services is off the charts. You guys are doing really well here. Having fund balances in school readiness and some of these other things that you guys have is it's tremendous. So kudos to you guys for having a fund balance there for Fund 4, but everything's doing well. And then Fund 7 is just going off. Fund 7 is what we'll levy and get to pay off the bonds that we received during the referendum, and that ended in 2016, I believe, is when that ended. But we still continue to go on to pay off that debt service. Other than that, we don't have any construction or Fund 8. So that is the presentation for the revenues and expenditures. Do you have any questions on the FY23 budget?
Scott, I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
Can you go to the very bottom again? And I just want to see what I know it's a prediction, right? But you're showing an overall revenue versus expense. And right now you're showing a more revenue than expense.
Correct. Yep. These are all funds. So this includes funds 1, 2, 4, and 7. And then same thing for expenses. This is including all funds. But each one is broken down by the fund level as we go through. Here's Fund 2 and then Fund 1. These are all broken down by each fund, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay.
Anything it appears like there's nothing too concerning at this juncture.
No, and thank you for bringing that up, because I just want to quickly go through. So general fund is your Fund 1. Fund 2 is your food service. Fund 4 is your community ed services. Excuse me. Fund 6, which we don't have currently, and if I don't want to say that bad referendum word, but I just did. But we're obviously not doing that, so we don't have any Fund 6. And then Fund 7 again is your debt service. So just going to pay off the past debt that we did for that referendum. So if there's any questions on the name of these funds, please let me know. But no, there's nothing concerning. You guys are in good shape, and everything's looking really good. Any other questions?
You want me to ask? Sure.
I didn't quite hear that. If there was a question.
Ask it, Randy.
Mary's wondering if you could explain this PLE a little bit more.
The PLE tool, so we have to provide our lunch costs, our breakfast costs to MDE. And so we do compare that to our neighbors, and we make sure that we're in line with what other districts around us are charging for these prices. But usually every single year it goes up 10 cents, and then 10 cents covers the additional expenses that we have. But I would imagine, looking at that, I'm just guessing right now because this isn't due for a little bit yet. But I'm guessing we'll probably go up, 10 cents or so on our lunch costs, breakfast costs. I don't want to say for certain yet. This is just an estimate right now. But that is per meal price. So 10 cents per the number of meals that we serve. It would go up, and that would cover our revenue deficit with Fund 2. Now, the reason why we haven't done it is because every single district in the state right now has been on what they call seamless summer option, which every school district gets at least one meal for free. If the student chooses to go back and get a meal, then they have to pay for that meal. But now that seamless summer option is going away, we're going to go back to the regular food service that we have, where everybody pays for their meals and or bring their own meals. So that's what the PLE tool does, is just make sure that we're within line of covering our expenses for the school district. And again, I don't want you guys paying attention to this column, but like Fund 2, we ended the year of FY21 at 65, I believe it was 60, maybe it was even $160,000 in Fund 2. But right now it's just projecting in $902 for a beginning fund balance FY23, which obviously is not the case. But the reason why it's showing that is because with food service, our revenues are always lagging the expenditures. Obviously, we have the expenses coming in, and as student accounts get lower, or we claim those meals with MDE and what they call clicks, then we recoup that funding. But we can never reclaim those costs of those meals until the month is over. So we're always lagging in revenues. But once those catch up, then it will revitalize our Fund 2 fund balance. But again, I don't want you paying attention to this. You're not approving this at all. What you're approving are the basic revenues that we foresee coming in and the expenditures going out. Did I answer your question, Mary?
Thank you. Thanks, Ray.
Yes. Yes, no problem. Any other questions?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, perfect. I'll stop sharing.
I will move on then to item 10C, request for liquidation of kitchen equipment. Oh, excuse me, and elementary kitchen updates as well. So I think Tony's going to talk about the kitchen equipment and obviously the need for updating the elementary kitchen. I don't want to steal all your thunder.
Hello, school board members, Superintendent Burkamp. We've been talking about this for a while now with all the elementary kitchens that you guys have been over there. It's aging. It's got there's some issues with some equipment that's getting older. And oh yeah, that's right, we got a point we worked on. Yeah. Well, the HS, as you can read, the high school kitchen is not being used, the north kitchen, with probably no intention to do so in the near future. The high school north equipment is not being used and has some very good resale value of the stuff that we're not using. Elementary kitchen serving line is not ergonomically correct for the staff and the students. Elementary kitchen is outdated and needed some new equipment. So we been looking at some equipment. That would be your list of equipment in the north kitchen that is not being used, that also cannot be repurposed into the elementary kitchen portion.
Nor do they need it in the south kitchen. So you want to talk about having large.
Yeah, we have the ladies look at all the equipment that they're using in the south kitchen right now, and they're satisfied with their setup. Moving any more stuff down there would just be clutter. So we've looked at every option, trying to. There's the whole kitchen, two pieces that will work for the kitchen, be repurposed. But these 12 items, This is basically, if we would get 50% of what this stuff is, what it was originally worth, would be 77,500. Shot in the dark until you put it up for sale. You know. So we get, I would use to sell this equipment. First, I would try. I'm a member of MASMUS. It's kind of like the MASBO of building heads like myself and whatnot. So I would take photos of this equipment and get it online to other districts. That's the smoothest transfer that we can do to sell it to another district. And this time of year also, maybe somebody's looking for a new kitchen equipment like that. So, elementary needs, the updated serving line, a double combi oven, with all this equipment, you know, the multifunctional cooker, food cabinet, the one hot water dispenser, which is one of the pieces that we can move over. Cold buffet is another one we're going to move over. Stainless steel work on the. There's some stainless steel tables, work tables with drawers under them that might measure up to work in there. We're going to use everything so we can. The estimated equipment is about 69,500. That would be the new equipment that we would purchase. I've got a couple, or one quote right now from Trilink, very well known commercial equipment provider. Estimated serving line remodel is right around the 25,000. I do not have a hard number on that yet, but the experts I'm working with are pretty comfortable with that. They're just waiting for some specs on the cart. What we're trying to do with that line is create so they would have cold wells and hot wells like we do over here. Right now, they're basically pulling stuff out of ovens and putting it on the cold counters and stuff. Trying to keep temperatures tough for them. And yeah, estimated total cost of about $94,500 to get this kitchen.
Has the North Kitchen inventory ever been used, or is that all yet new equipment that is new?
Very lightly used for probably two to three seasons. They're it's nice stuff. It's like the buffet tables are Atlas, the brand, branding there, the Cadillac of that kitchen equipment. So it's very nice equipment. Has very good value now.
I'm sure it probably worth more than what we paid for it.
Well, right now, everything's hard to get, you know, so it might surprise us when we get this stuff. So.
Thank you.
Cash from the proceeds and the equipment from the sale of the equipment would go directly towards the elementary kitchen project. PMA funds are also available. PFM funds, so just a balance of funds could be used to complete this project.
Yes, I'd like to,
speak to that.
sure. So the PMA funds, remember, those are those leftover construction funds. So it makes really good sense to use those kind of dollars for a project like this because it's actually construction. That fund too, what Scott was alluding to earlier is there's likely, it doesn't look like that on your sheet you have now because it has to go, those revenues are lagging. It's very possible that there'll be a fund balance in fund two. We are not to have more than 3 months fund balance in fund two. So if there are some dollars available there, we could use those as well to offset some of this cost. So depending on how the sale of the equipment goes for us, we have a lot of different options that I think we could exercise to make this kitchen a much more updated kitchen. I'd like to say it isn't ADA compliant in the serving line portion. However, we're grandfathered in, I guess, for when that whole thing came forward, but it doesn't make it right. So you can watch how the staff there, it's not a comfortable way to do your job. And, you know, we just have a beautiful kitchen over here, and to see the disparity there between them is a little bit concerning. So I fully support this job. You know, since I got here, I think my first week here, I went to the elementary and right away I was taken in the kitchen. Saying, look what we need here. Oh, okay. So it has been discussed a lot and we have recognized the needs. So.
I have a question. What happens to the space in the north kitchen here?
It's a very good question. Should Joel speak to that?
Well, we've talked about that a little bit. We have some ideas that we might be able to use it for different type of learning opportunities and that we just haven't landed yet. I think right now it's so full
Yep.
of this equipment. Once we can get that out
And see
and
what
get
you
it
have.
sold, then we can start to really envision what we might be able to do for opportunities for students. And even if it were like a fax room, you know, where it has regular kitchen stoves and not the high-end commercial stuff, but more like what you would have in like a home ec class where you're gonna learn those kinds of things. We could use it for something like that. We could use part of it. It's a big kitchen. We can use part of it. Maybe like there's a pre-CNA kind of thing that happens. I mean, there's just some opportunities, but right now it's just full of. But we talked a little bit about some.
The only things that are for sale will be for sale. Approval versus they're not bolted to the wall.
Okay.
All your cabinetry, there's lots of stainless steel cabinetry in there, obviously the sinks and triple sinks and whatnot are out there. The only thing that would some might be bolted to the wall that has very good value is a dishwasher in there. Expensive type, not being used.
And our other concern is if we wait, you know, how timing, right? Now is the time of year to get us going. And also it's gonna lose value over time, right? Every time, the longer it sits there and does nothing, the value goes down and it's a waste. And
Well,
so,
right now, I mean, people might be looking for something that they can't get otherwise, so.
That's right. That's what I said. We could probably have one maybe.
I do have one more question then. Anything that you're gonna be putting in at the elementary, gonna need more power? Because I know that's an issue over there.
Kitchen wise, I think we'll be fine.
Good, good.
The appliances that are over there are 3-phase, 208
Okay.
appliances, so.
So whatever you take out, you're just gonna be able to,
Might be as simple as a heavier wire or lighter wire.
Yep.
This newer stuff. is probably
More efficient.
So
Okay.
question, I don't know if it's necessarily for Tony, but so what, just so knowing that we only utilize this, I don't know what you call it, the south cafeteria, is there, what's the latest and the earliest that kids eat lunch? I'm just, and I know that we've gone down, but that always worries me because I know some of them eat pretty early and some eat late. I don't know what that is. Is there any concerns? So if we liquidate the north cafeteria, are we ever gonna kick
Yeah.
ourselves to say that?
the reason I don't think we will is, I don't think the timing, our littles are eating around 11-ish. The thing is when you have both kitchens running, you have 2 staff. We only have 600 kids in this building. You can run, I've seen schools with 2,000 kids with 1 kitchen staff, you know, so that cost effectiveness of that, it makes better sense. One thing that Barb said was, it was such a hassle when they had both kitchens, because you'd have to haul stuff down and back and forth, and it was just not efficient. It was hard on
this way the
everyone.
kids are moving everything.
Yeah.
Well, right? I mean, instead of staff moving it, the kids are moving it. Yeah, they're moving it on their feet, but you know.
And I think one thing that I've watched that I think we just do a good job here is allowing for those middle and high school kids to have some free time at lunch where they're in the gymnasium, they're outside. So I know some might be eating a little bit later, but they're eating right away and then they're outside moving. So the lunch period might end later, but they're eating right away and then they're outside or in the gym. And that's really beneficial. I don't know why we didn't always have recess for kids all the way up. I mean, it's really helpful for them to get that energy out.
The other question for Tony, so based on the same premise, right, we're selling our equipment, are we gonna be able to get the equipment that we want for in the elementary?
A very good question. Yeah, once, you know, upon approval, the earlier we get that ball rolling. Equipment. See, we only have so much of a footprint to work with over there. It's a very small kitchen. The kitchen hood, of course, all this equipment that we're putting in has to sit under the exhaust hood, and that's a very small footprint also. So we're compressing the equipment in there, like this double combi oven as a stacker. So get 2 for 1, same footprint. The multi-purpose cooker takes basically the place of a tilting kettle that's in there right now. She can brown hamburger in that, she can boil waters. Everything's a efficient way to use the space.
Then I assume if we don't think we can get it, you just don't replace that piece of equipment, right? Right, so you replace it as you go, right? You can make some efficiencies with the line of things with what you have. Maybe just extend the project longer, right?
Right. The pieces of equipment that we'd be taking out of the elementary, which you probably do not have value. Working yet, but they're the one we call them 57 It's old.
Not because it's a classic.
Yeah, they do pull it out very well, like what they have over there, but we can make it a lot better.
Additional questions for Tony? So I believe the request is for us to approve or deny this request, right? Because obviously the sooner we would approve it, if we are going to do so, the sooner they can commence, or if not, then you have to go to plan B and figure out, okay, what type of equipment we need to use.
It's a little time sensitive.
Yes.
I'll motion,
Go ahead.
I'll motion to approve liquidation of kitchen equipment
I'll second.
and upgrade the elementary.
Mary, I assume you still seconded?
I still am.
All right. So the motion was made by Director Bauman and seconded by Director Lang. Is there other discussion? Questions? All right, hearing none. Motion was made for the request of the liquidation of the kitchen equipment and update the elementary kitchen. That motion was made by Director Bauman and seconded by Director Lang. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
On the district's behalf, I'll do the best I can on liquidating that equipment to get the best value we can. Like I said, I'll work with Masmus and get things online promptly if we don't get interest on things and whatnot. There's auction houses, online auction type stuff. I'll try everything I can. Those services, of course, are gonna have a fee. Masmus, they can pull that on for.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom.
Item D, the employee handbook presentation.
Chairman Garrett, members of the board, Dr. Workcamp. I'm Amy Kruger, the Human Resources Director, and I've worked on putting together the handbook that you guys have in your packet. I just wanted to quick run through a couple things. I don't want to go through a ton because you have that, but the sections of the handbook really are a summary of our board policies that are effective, that affect our employees. Number 2 is ethics and personal conduct. Number 3 is the school operations. 4, employee responsibilities. And then 5 is safety and workplace injuries. The purpose of putting together this handbook, it meets a couple of different needs for us. Number 1, it meets the compliance guidelines for our insurance company. They ask us to have a handbook for all of our employees. And in the past, we have had an employee handbook or a staff handbook for the elementary and one for the high school, but never one for the district. And so we felt like it was important to take pieces of both of those handbooks that were similar and put them in an employee handbook so that then the elementary and the high school handbook can be very specific to what is happening in each of those buildings. So really, it's going to create some consistency for all of our new hires. Every new hire would get this, this handbook. We would look at this handbook just like we do with the student handbooks, update it yearly, and then there's an acknowledgement where everyone would sign off that they have read it, that they've seen a copy of it. So new hires would get it, and our current staff would also get it. So really what we're doing tonight is asking for your approval for us for the handbook. And then we would, my goal would be then to bring it back to you once a year, just like the student handbooks do for your approval. And we might make changes to those as needed in the hand, as new things come up. Questions that you guys have for me?
Have you, so obviously I know we've had employee inquiries for this too. I'm assuming employees have reviewed it, the principals have had the opportunity. There's been a lot of feedback, or at least that possibility to give feedback if they want.
Yep, and we're still continuing just because May came so quick and I feel like it just went crazy. And we've been working on strategic plans, so we do expect to also bring it to, our leadership group again, and just have them really take a look at it. We have had people look at it from like an HR perspective, making sure that we've covered what we need to cover. We took pieces of other schools' handbooks and looked at those. This one has more in it than most handbooks. And so we feel pretty confident that, we have a good starting space. It doesn't mean that this is where it will stay forever and ever. We'll make changes as needed.
And our insurance companies helped look at this too, some staff there to ensure that we have compliance covered there as well.
For the union heads looked at it.
Today, I gave it to one of our union people, and he was gonna look at it, and and ongoing, they've had peeks at it. It's changed as we've gone, so.
My only question is there gonna be a mechanism in place, so as we change policy, it gets changed in the handbook?
So what is in
You know
your
what I mean?
handbook right
That's-
now is just a summary, so it's an overall, and then it indicates for them to go on and look at the full policy.
Okay.
So that, I don't know that, unless something really changes, the essence of the policy really is just kind of that.
Yeah, the
summary.
essence usually stays the same, but sometimes there's,
But that's where her due diligence will be, part of her role as HR director will be, around March, April, she's gonna start going back to the handbook and say, taking a look at the policies it references, are they still there? As we have maybe a new policy come forward, if it needs to get added, my responsibility to get with her to make sure it gets into it and then approved through its regular cycle. So great point, because we run into policies, right, where they've been approved, they reference another policy that we didn't even have, so
that's why I put summaries in here, not the full policy. And I don't know that everybody's gonna, want it electronically, so I didn't want to put a link because the link's not gonna work anyway. So just did a summary. One of the other schools did that, and I thought that was kind of a happy medium kind of compromise.
So I guess my only concern with, and I see it's on just to be approved, my only question would be, I know it's still in the draft format and union heads have still looked at and need to look at it. Do we want to wait till maybe next month to approve it?
I think that would be wise.
Yeah.
Have a union look at it. Just in case.
and then you'll get 2 looks at it.
Yes.
not just
Yeah.
2, because it's new for us. So,
Well done, Bob. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. Andy.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Director Hackett.
I move to table this to the next meeting.
All right, so there was a motion by Director Hackett, seconded by Director Bauman to table the approval of the employee handbook until our June. I have to think about that. It's hard to believe it's June, right? The June regular school board meeting. Is there any other discussion about that? All right, all in favor of no action, we're moving this to the agenda in June, please signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, abstained. So moved. So we will review this again in the June. Item E, the summer school presentation update. Both go.
Oh, boy.
team effort.
Do I have to go?
It's like this.
Oh, we can make that happen. Chairman Garrett, members of the board, Dr. Werkamp, summer school presentation. This is just an update of the work that's been done over the past few months in putting this together. Summer school dates going to be from July 11th through July 28th. The hours are 8 AM to 12 PM, Monday through Thursday for 3 weeks. Breakfast and lunch will be served to the students who are in summer school in both buildings, and transportation will be provided. The estimated total students, 60 at the elementary, and we're envisioning 30 in the middle school and approximately 30 at the high school.
This is our elementary school plan. This is last year, Ted Hanson is our coordinator. And right now we have 4 teachers. It looks like with enrollment increasing, we might need to make that 5 teachers. So we are recruiting a 5th teacher right now. And we have 1 paraprofessional helping. And we have students from all the grades, kindergarten through grade 5. We'll also have on-site nursing support. And we did purchase a curriculum to use just in the summer. And this will be relevant for years ahead. So it's not going to be an annual cost. And it's the Mifflin Harcourt Rigby Literacy Program. And then we're going to use our regular math program, Vision Math. So I think we're set to go. Other than that, 1 teacher, if we don't find a teacher, we'll do our best to spread the students out as evenly as we can. And we have combination classes, K1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had a very good experience last year. All the teachers from last year are back. The way the enrollment with more kids in particular grades, like kindergarten and first, we're getting too many kids for just 1 teacher. So that's what we're looking at, how to spread that out.
The middle school plan, our summer school coordinator for middle school is Heidi Nornberg, looking at 3 to 4 teachers. We will have on-call nursing support. The curriculum will be a combination of the 4 core areas: math, science, social, and ELA, English language arts. And it's focusing on labs and some hands-on learning activities. We are also aiming this at students who have had some trouble in middle school, and so part of it will also be built in strategies for success as they move on through middle school. So that is the middle school plan as of right now. The high school credit recovery plan. We've had credit recovery at the high school before. Usually I'm running that in the summer by myself. We were using the Apex online learning system. This summer, any students who need any type of credit recovery will be able to, they'll actually start, we actually have students who have started summer school courses already. And they will work then through June. And our goal for them is to get them to that spot in July where, hey, if a kid worked through it in June and get to the beginning of July, they need to come at least to confirm that they've finished their credit recovery and go through and finalize that. We may have students who get partway through it and need a little boost midsummer, and they come to middle school and they work with the 3 to 4 staff who will be on for the high school credit recovery. And in different areas, we have math and we have ELA covered. We have science covered, that if they need support to get through those courses, that support will be there and available to them. Our goal would be to have our students at the high school who are doing credit recovery to have that done before they start the new school year. The student schedule may vary depending on, might depend on transportation. You're going to have juniors and seniors who can drive. So they might only need to be here a couple hours a day, or they might be on pace to finish their stuff in time, and they won't necessarily have to be here for lunch or have to be here for the full 4 hours. The high school is going to be a little bit a different look. The high school summer enrichment, we have 3 courses this summer. Robert Skier and Nathan Goldaddy and Kathy Torridson will be teaching classes. These will be enrichment opportunities. Mr. Skier is teaching a 4-day small engines class that's going to be focused on fuel systems. That class is from 8 to 11:30. Mr. Goldaddy is doing a 4-day greenhouse management class. They are going to be physically updating some of the features of the greenhouse to make it more efficient before we get into the fall. We have openings for those classes. We are still looking and recruiting students that want to take advantage of these opportunities. And then Ms. Tortzen is doing a 12-day ceramics and pottery class. The curriculum is developed using the materials that they already have in possession. And then, for instance, the small engines class, we ordered some engines that they can use for that. Those are a largely one-time cost to make those things happen. And that's used through that ESSER 161.
For the elementary budget, that 30,524 is for staffing. That includes the nurse, it includes kitchen staff, the students with breakfast and lunch each day. And the 10,500 is a one-time curriculum cost. And I would expect that to go 10 years. So won't have to come back to that.
The middle school budget, 16,500. That includes $4,500 of one-time curriculum costs. And then the high school budget, 30,000. The engines course itself was approximately 10,000. But that also includes the curriculum costs, the one-time items for making that happen for summer school. And those are items that we can use not only in summer school this year, but in the subsequent school years as we go forward. So
I anticipate FIN 161 to cover that summer school. If it doesn't, remember we have the $100,000 contingency dollars in 160, so we can use that if need be. So there's some opportunity to have some really good programming.
I apologize. I may have missed the update, but it's more just curious. The air conditioning in the elementary, will that be up and running by the time this starts? No, not quite yet. Okay. Wishful thinking.
I've been warm enough to worry about it yet.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Except our level of 100 degrees next week, so.
Right. Mr. Chairman, I have some questions. So for the high school students, if they take that summer enrichment, is that accredited to the school then or not?
they do not receive, no, they will not receive credit. It'll just be experiential.
Should it be?
enrichment.
Or should it run for a couple of years and then decide?
Yeah, we have to.
You'd probably run into some seat time with only 12 hours of class.
Okay, there's,
So I would think that it potentially would turn into some possible community ed opportunity.
and another question I have is, what does the summer school and the elementary do for the MAP program? Are they gonna compete for space, or is that gonna be okay, or?
Yeah, we have lots of space, so
Okay.
we'll be using some of the classrooms for the regular summer school. And MAP has their own MAP room. They have used the gymnasium, outside cafeteria. So it went very well last year, so we do have, I mean, there'll be plenty of additional classroom spaces. Yeah.
Right.
About some additional questions? Perfect, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
On to item 10F, principals contract. Should I have a copy, or it should have been on your board minutes? Director Bauman has made a motion.
I'll second.
Seconded by Director Hofstad. Any discussion? All right, no discussion. So there's been a motion made to approve the principal's contract. It does run from June 1st, 2020 to, oh, excuse me, boy, I really screwed that up. July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2024. Motion was made by Director Baum and seconded by Director Hofstad. No discussion, so all those in favor of approving the principal's contract, please say aye. Aye. And, approve, oh, I can't even. Sorry, I can't think of the right word. Opposed, thank you. Anybody opposed? And abstain? Motion passes 5-0.
Russ,
Brain fart.
buffering.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Buffering.
All right, moving to item G, the human resources contract.
I'll move to approve.
Director Hofstad, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Lane. So the motion is made to approve the human resources contract by Director Hofstad, seconded by Director Lane. Any discussion? All right. Seeing there's no discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed and abstained. Motion passes 5-0. Item H, building and grounds contract. Director of Building and Grounds contract.
So moved.
Motion made by Director Hackett,
Second.
second by Director Bauman. Discussion. All right, the motion was made by Director Hofstad, by Director Hackett, seconded by Director Bauman. All in favor of approving the building and grounds contract, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstained? Motion passes 5-0. All right, we will look at now the added item for the technology integration specialist agreement.
I'll move that.
Motion made by Director Hofstad.
Second.
Seconded by Director Bauman. Any discussion? All right, seeing there is no discussion, I will take a vote on the technology integration specialist. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Do we have any, so off top, do we have any additional contracts that we're working on, or are we caught up? Are we?
We're gonna agree for about 6 months.
Yeah.
Hey, we're ahead.
We are ahead, or on track.
We're not behind.
That's great.
So that's good.
We're having a rough night, Russ.
I know. Perfect. All right, moving on to policies. The first reading policies are number 410, the family and medical leave. Item or policy 423, employee-student relationships. And for first reading is also 709, student transportation safety policy. Second, the policies in the second reading are 616, the school district system accountability, and 714, fund balance. And items for the third reading are 506, student discipline. I think Director Hackett gave a little summary of a few of these. I don't know if the policy committee wants to comment on any of them.
I'll move the approval for the third policy reading of 506.
So the motion was made to approve policy 506, student discipline. The motion was made by Director Hofstad, seconded by Director Bauman. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed and abstained. Motion passes 5-0. Item 11, upcoming meeting schedule. As talked about earlier, we have our strategic planning committee meeting Thursday, 6 o'clock. to 7:30. It'll be in the, I'm assuming, the cafetorium. Director, myself and Director Bauman will be there.
Mhm.
Wednesday, June 8th, we will, 9 AM, we'll have our policy meeting. Also on June 8th at 6 PM, we will have our third strategic planning meeting. Tuesday, June 21st at noon, we will have our finance meeting. And Monday, June 27th, 6 PM, we will have our regular board meeting. Are there any other?
Graduation.
Graduation on Friday, either at 4:30.
Yeah.
Joel.
Fashionably late.
Joel started to sweat. I'll motion to adjourn.
All right, motion to adjourn, Director Bauman.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Director Hackett. There was a motion made by Director Bauman, seconded by Director Hackett. Any discussion on the adjournment? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained. We are adjourned at 7:21.